It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, February 16th, your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that is super excited for the Stadium Series game this weekend.
You're looking ahead, just like the Flyers did.
You're Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at @rmiriam. I'm here as always with Russ Cohen, who's on all your favorite social media apps at Sportsology. We are at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter as well. You can find us over on YouTube or on the SiriusXM app or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe. You'll get our latest episode as soon as it's available here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, this is our first full episode that we've done since Sean Couturier was named captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. We did do a special episode that's in your feeds that we talked about it and Travis Konechny and all the implications. So if you haven't heard that episode, go back into your feeds and find it. I think that this was a very interesting first game with the new leadership group. Very lucky to have gotten that point versus Toronto. I think that, once again, this team, man, never stops fighting. And I will absolutely give them all the credit in the world for that every single time. Lucky to have gotten that point, feel good about that point, but definitely some yellow to red flags came out of that game as well.
Yeah, they definitely, deserve the point because they came back. It's just some of the decisions that are made in game that are just mind-boggling. Like, okay, you wanted Delorier to play this game over Lixell, really? Over a fast skating team? Okay, I mean, that fight didn't need to happen. We all know that
Nope.
fight didn't need to happen. He asked, I forget who it was on the Flyers that got hit, if he was okay, and he was okay.
It's York.
It was York, yeah. I mean, he wasn't okay like he was fine 100% because he only played a couple shifts after that, but he was okay in the sense that, he wasn't extremely hurt. And they even asked the question on the broadcast, like, does that have to be a fight? But again, Delorier feels like it has to be. So he made it that. And so that's, that definitely was an issue. And then you shorten the offensive bench even more because he only plays 4.5 minutes.
Right. And that's the problem when you're having an 11-7 lineup and a guy just chooses to do that. Like Delorier, it does cause problems. And in the end, it gave the Leafs a power play and it was very inopportune.
Yeah.
And especially, the way Austin Matthews is playing in that game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why would you give that power play unit a shot? Like for that hit? Like, no, come on,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, that was bad. Look, Konechny had a great game. Give him all the credit in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He helped bring the team back. The Leafs did some good things, and this is where some of the Flyers have to work on their game. They were wise to what Owen Tippett was going to do. They were ready for his rushes. They were ready. If he got one, they kept him to the outside. He didn't have great scoring chances as a result. He missed the net as well. On one of them, Travis Konechny missed a wide open net on the power play too, but that happens. He's been hot as a firecracker, so I can't say anything about that. But so I think the Leafs
and that was great stick work there too.
It was. So. I think the Leafs did their video work, and I think that was something that showed because they covered that pretty well. You feel bad for Urson, but there is some thought that even though the Flyers made a horrific change, like. I don't know why they couldn't sense that the Leafs were not taking their guys off the ice and went for that change. Like sometimes you got to leave your guys out there, whether they get a little tired or not. They're NHL players, and once they did it, they gave up a 3-on-2, but it was a clean shot without a screen. And so you do wonder, should have Urson stopped that? And he may have. That may have been one he wants to get back to. So, you know, all
Yeah.
these things, these are all learning thing. Again, we don't know what Sam Ersson is down the stretch in the season here, and he's gonna learn and find out. And so, yeah, this is all part of the learning process.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think there's very clear lessons to be taken from this game. And you look at the adjustments that the Leafs made, just absolute like textbook coaching, right? Because
Yes.
you look at the first period of this game and the Flyers were just like barreling through the neutral zone like it wasn't even there.
Yep.
And the Leafs were just letting them through up the middle. Like it was ridiculous. And that's why
It
the
was.
Flyers were getting all those great chances on the rush. And then they realized what was happening and like a flip of the switch, they just shut it down. And they said, "Nope, sorry Flyers, you're not getting through the middle anymore." Force the Flyers to the outside and then it became much more difficult and the Flyers then, had more turnovers and it was the puck was going the other way. And then of course, Austin Matthews gives them momentum and you have
Yeah.
like a period and a half, I would say, where like the Flyers, even though they had shots on goal, like it just the momentum was definitely not in the Flyers' favor.
Right. No question. And and look, they wrestled it back, but there's nothing worse than when you wrestle it back to kind of lose the way they did in overtime. Like that's never a good thing. Even the players don't think that that's a good point. It doesn't, because it doesn't feel good. Now they have a couple days to forget about it, or at least one, uh, to
Mhm.
forget about it. So no, actually two. They'll have two to forget about it because the Stadium Series. But the thing is, you worry about the Stadium Series because guys are really banged up. Again, I would be calling up a fleet of players from Lehigh for this game. I would not keep running the injured guys out there or the guys who might get injured in that game. Or because again, you don't want to shorten the bench in an outdoor game. And I tweeted this today. I don't believe any team's ever played 11-7 outdoors. And I don't think it's a good idea to shorten the bench in an outdoor game, because if you do lose a defenseman in that game, then it gets really interesting, right? And so I just don't think it's smart. And again, Lehigh is close. Call up what you need. Use these players. Have it a regular, have it run regular. Don't I just don't see a benefit going 11-7 outside, especially because outside's fluky enough.
Yeah. I like, there has to be a way to not play Delorier, play Lixel,
Yeah.
and have a full 12-6 roster out there, for this team, and, I think, that point about an outdoor game is right. We'll talk more about the outdoor game, later in the show, but,
Yeah.
as far as the guys being banged up, we saw Sean Couturier not take a ton of shifts in that 3rd period, and we saw
No.
he was hurting. He got slashed in this game on a no call, and, I think that he is one of the guys that is gonna have to heal very quickly, and, he's the new captain, so he's gonna absolutely be out there in the next game, unless something's broken, like,
Right.
honestly.
Right. And that's the thing. You hope that it's nothing bad, but the thing is when you're banged up and you play outside, it's worse.
Yep.
Like it feels worse because, you're going to be playing in 20-degree weather. So, and you need the 2 points. So it's kind of like it's one of those games now where it's like, guys who are banged up for this. If Cam York is banged up, it ain't a great game for him to play in. So whether you have to make a decision on one or both of those guys, I think you're better off having healthy bodies, because it's not so much about having the better players or skilled players out there because there's so much flukiness. It's really just about having, healthy bodies. You want to play physical, that's fine. Um, and I don't know. I would play it. I would play some of the young guys. We've talked about it. People have been messaging me. They would hope to see some of the young guys. Like, it wouldn't be a bad thing to bring up Brink. Now, Brink hasn't played great down there, but he did play a lot of the season. It would be a nice thing for him, a nice reward. But
Right.
I think John's going to reward the veterans first, and I think the ones that can still walk are going to play, and I think that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I think, especially on the blue line, there's gonna be some questions there, and if they can manage a 12-6 lineup, who are the 6? at this point, given everything. And I don't know that this Leafs game gave us any answers to that. Again, because guys are banged up, but also like I don't think anybody, especially on the blue line, like I mean, I think Walker had a pretty solid game, and
For
like
the most
Sanheim had,
part, Walker was
but
okay.
yeah,
Sealer was overly aggressive at times, I
yeah,
felt.
Sanheim. I
Drysdale got
thought,
beat up. He got crunched
yeah,
more than a
he
few times.
did. Yeah, that game was so physical. I mean, the hit total was off the charts, I think, by the
Yeah,
end of the game. But yeah, and I thought Sanheim, he did have that shorty, but I
he
think
did.
he was struggling a little bit just because,
That top
um,
line, trying to keep
y-
up with that top line,
yeah,
they
it,
couldn't do it.
it was a big deal. But we do have the outdoor game coming up against the New Jersey Devils on Saturday, and we are going to talk about that game coming up next. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. They've got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into an MVP and bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Next week on the show, it's a light week for the Flyers, but a very, very important one. Of course, Monday we'll have a recap of the Stadium Series game and our nemesis of the week. But Flyers will be facing the Blackhawks, and then next weekend have a back-to-back against the Pens and Rangers. So no big deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, the New Jersey Devils, I think they are at a team in a weird spot. They just lost to the LA Kings at the same time the Flyers were playing the Leafs, which is just, I think, a real tough loss for them
Oh, it's a tough loss,
overall.
yeah, because they didn't get a point. So it's a tough
Yeah.
loss.
And, they're scratching and clawing for every single point that they can get. And we've had a split decision so far this season with the Devils, the road team winning both times in overtime. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this outdoor game does not go to overtime because
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know that
I'm
I
gonna
can
get home
handle
late
it.
anyhow, and I'm going the next day too. So it's like I need some sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. As we know, Dougie Hamilton is on IR, Jonas Siegenthaler is on IR, and they have had two players that left the organization in the same circumstances as Carter Hart, which is not great for them. So they've been a little lost in the woods, I think, up and down. And they did win 2 games before last night, against
Yeah.
the Preds and the Kraken, but then lost before that to the Canes and the Flames. And so, a mixed bag, I would say.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. They've got some great defensive forwards in Heishier and Bratt. A lot of speed, so even outdoors, you got to kind of watch it. And on defense, it's a lot of speed. With Hughes and Nemec, that's a lot. They do have toughness. They have Brendan Smith who will cheap shot you
Mhm.
all the time. So, and then they have some guys like Alexander Holtz who has a great shot, hasn't necessarily been scoring, or even a guy like Nathan Bastion who's got he's big and he's got hands around the net. That's in these outdoor games. Sometimes those guys are the valuable ones because they're already around there, and that's how you're scoring. So even though it's going to be an outdoor surface, I think the Devils are going to be chancy, and I think we're going to see. We're going to see how the Flyers are going to play it. They probably should play it a little safer because they have at least, I think, the personnel to play it safe. And look, if you find something up the seam of the ice, great. But I'm not sure this is the game where, again, and I know I've said this a few times recently, but They did get a shorty tonight, but I don't think you're looking for shorthanded goals in the outdoor game.
No, I think it is chancy. Like, I think that if you have a really good chance, you take it, but you have to be 100% positive that
Yeah,
you're not gonna get caught because I think you're right about that. And I think that outdoor games do lend themselves to dirty goals in front of the net.
they do.
Uh, because sometimes, with the lighting, like you just never know when you lose pucks, right? Just visually.
I
So
mean, I'll tell you, in the football stadiums compared to the baseball, it's different when they look up. Um, Baseball, there's a little more opening as far as for the sky in different spots. For football, it's not. It's that
no.
circular effect. And
And
so,
you have this like heightened halo
right.
there.
And so, they do try to not look up into the glow too much. Guys will wear eye black and stuff, but it's tough on goalies. It is.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it's going to be a big challenge for Samerson in this one, especially when you're facing a team like the Devils
Yeah.
that do have a lot of high end talent on the team. And Jack Hughes is back and playing.
Yapping in the box tonight.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
he has got an attitude,
he
that
does.
child. But in some ways he's earned it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no. He did have an assist in that game, so he does back up the trash talk.
He does. I think Tyler Toffoli is gonna be really strong
Yeah, he's a
I
guy to
in
watch.
this game. I think, that's gonna be very important as well, and I think, with both Jack and Luke Hughes out there, this is, like, their first outdoor game together. There's a little
Yeah,
extra motivation there for them. I just really think that with this being a divisional matchup, like the Flyers have got to get these points, and with the Devils on their heels in terms of the standings and the way the games in hand are working, like I've said, this is a 4-point game.
yeah, it is. And this will be new for the Devils. It's it's not going to be new for like Lindy Ruff. He knows what these outdoor games are like. It's not new for Torts. He's actually coached in this
Two
will
of
be
them.
yeah, two.
This will be his third.
This will be his third. That's what I was thinking. So yeah, I mean, both the coaches are kind of used to it. Um, so I think they'll guide the guys, but this is one where yeah, I don't think you should take too many chances. And if it's a close game, that's fine. You don't want to fall behind in an outdoor game. I know the Flyers have this comeback ability, but if you get down two in an outdoor game, it's hard. And that's
Yeah.
to me that would be the message. Try and get up first and try not to fall behind by much. That's don't be too risky out there.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice for the Flyers here. Now, Sean Couturier has played in 4 outdoor games
Yeah.
previously,
He's
I
probably in the
believe.
most for both teams, yeah.
Well, Mark Stahl has also played in
That's
4
true.
games,
Yeah, Mark Stahl played with
previously.
Schwartz as on the
Yes.
Rangers, and now he's playing them with again on the Flyers. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I would hesitate to say that, I just don't see towards sitting Mark Stahl in these
No, he's gonna
circumstances
play.
is really what I'm getting at here.
Or for an outdoor game, it's fine. I'm not against Mark Stahl playing an outdoor game because I think he has more function in an outdoor game.
Yeah, I think so because it does run a little slower. Now, with it
Yes.
being as cold as it's going to be, and at night, I do think it'll be a little faster than some of the outdoor games that we've seen, just because the temperature is cooperating, I think.
Yeah, I think the ice will be
Um,
fine for this one.
yeah,
I'm not expecting
um,
problems.
yeah, it might not be fine for the rest of us out in the cold, but I think that
Well, I'm not gonna be out in the cold as much as you, so I get it. I'm not even gonna pretend, that I might be cold, although when we did cover back in the day, I covered, the games at Yankee Stadium, they left the press box open, fully open, and I was next to Linda Cohn, and we both were like and we didn't really know each other. We introduced each other, and then we are like, "Oh my god, we're freezing. Why do they have the windows open?" And it didn't make any sense at all. So we froze. So if they do that at MetLife, I'm gonna be as cold as you are. But I don't think they're
All
going to do
right.
that.
Yeah, we will see. But yeah, I think one of the things about the Devils and their offensive strategy is that they found most of their success. And we talked about this when we saw them last in December. Like they're really strong net front and in the high
Yeah.
slot. And so really, I think the assignment for the Flyers here is just clear out the middle. That's all you got to do is like push guys out of the middle and get the puck going in the other direction
Yeah, that's where
because
Stahl will be helpful. Um,
Mhm.
you do got to watch out for guys like Palat, guys that are just wily like that. So yeah, but that's a good strategy too. Um, you know, guy like Kevin Ball who's 6'6", you really don't want to get hit by him. If you get crunched in the boards by him, like we're talking about memories. I'll tell you one memory in that when we get to it that was just funny. Absolutely funny. But anyhow, I would not want to get hit by Kevin Ball against the boards outside in 20-degree
Yeah.
weather. No way.
Nope. Nope. That would hurt quite a bit. But speaking of memories, there's more to this weekend than just the game. And we're going to talk about some of that and the Rangers Islanders game, which is also happening the next day on Sunday, and our favorite memories from Flyers outdoor games past. We'll do that coming up next.
Our sponsor today is Camino Consulting. How would you like to get to know someone better in an hour than you would in a year? Understanding one another better prevents small misunderstandings from becoming big ongoing fights. After providing more than 20 years of service to small and mid-sized businesses, helping management groups navigate conflict and onboarding new employees, Camino is offering a new digital seminar for families and couples. Did your Valentine's gift of tickets to the game not go over as well as you'd hoped? Get the couples and family on seminar for 25% off for the month of February using this discount code Locked On. Again, that's discount code Locked On for 25% off for the rest of the month at www.caminoconsulting.ca or mention Locked On when reaching out for a business seminar and receive the first 5 profiles free.
Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league, including Locked On NHL. Go to Locked On Sports Today over on YouTube and subscribe. Russ, I am excited about all the stuff happening beyond the game itself as well. And I think we joke about the New Jersey Devils in general just because it's easy and they're there. But
Mhm.
I
Hey,
think
Wayne
that
Gretzky did too back in the day, so, it's not just us.
yeah, it's like where are you gonna have a parade in the parking lot? And then they say, but we had parades. You didn't. So
Yeah, it's
fair,
fair.
fair. But at the same time, having that big parking lot, they can have a huge fan fest, which
Yes.
is going to be happening again. So that should be a lot of fun. The Stanley Cup will be there as per usual. And they're making it very New Jersey themed overall, which I think is fun in a lot of ways. But as I have said many times before, and will continue to say, the new team name of the New Jersey Devils is just awful because the New Jersey Devil is a legend of the Pine Barrens, which is in South Jersey, and that's where Flyers fans live. They have no business being a North Jersey team named after a South Jersey legend, and
I can't
I
argue
will
it.
I will die on that hill. And so when they say New Jersey themed, they really mean North Jersey themed,
Yes,
and there is no South Jersey in the New
and
Jersey
everything The
Devils.
Sopranos life can bring you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But they are also adding elements like, the Gaslight Anthem is the band that sings the Devil's Goal song, which is Howl, which I
Yeah, they're
don't
pretty
enjoy
good.
it.
They have some
Yeah, the
talent.
band is good. Don't enjoy that song for obvious reasons, but, so they'll be performing, and playing their goal song live if the Devils score. And then, of course, we've been talking about it, but I'm excited for the Jonas Brothers, little concert
Yippee.
pregame. Look, they are a talented
They seem like
bunch of
nice kids.
brothers.
I'm sure they're great guys. It's fine.
Um, one of them broke Taylor Swift's heart, so, what are
She
you gonna
wrote a
do?
song about it, I'm sure.
She did. Oh, she did. But, I do think that, the environment there and the stadium is so nice that I think that, it'll be a really good event,
It's
and
nice,
they
but
always
I
do a
have
good job.
some tips for people. It takes a half hour to get in your seat from anywhere that you are trying to go from, whether it's the parking lot, off the train, whatever. So give yourself like 45 minutes before the game starts to actually get in your seat. It takes a while because no matter where you're sitting, there's a lot of escalators and a lot of things to
Mhm.
go through. So I'm just letting you know it's a very the seats are good in the sense that there's no real bad seats, but it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the pros and cons of the football stadium versus the baseball stadium issue, right? Where I
Yes.
love the ones in baseball stadiums just from an
Baseball,
atmosphere perspective.
I think baseball, there are some areas where you could sit lower and it's not bad. Like you always want to be high, right? But I do think with
Yeah.
football, it's a problem if you sit low. I do.
Yeah, it really is. I've sat in the lower level, the one in Pittsburgh that I went to, and then
That was
I've
a cold one,
also
man. That was breezy and cold, man.
yeah, yeah, and, the one at the Link, we sat in the back of the lower bowl, which I think was the right move. It was fine, but I think, being up higher, you can see a lot more,
I like
but
the Link because they have the best elevators in Philly. Compared to the Flyers and the Phillies, so much better. They
yeah.
actually
Oh, and
work well.
I did go to the one at Citizens Bank Park as well. So, and then the only other one I've been to was at Fenway.
Yeah, I was
So
at Fenway too. Yeah.
yeah, so I've been to a lot of them. All the Flyers ones plus the Caps Pens one in Pittsburgh.
Yep, I was at
So,
that too. That's when Crosby got
yeah.
hurt. Yep.
Yes, it was. That was not a good day for Pens
No,
fans.
no.
But all that being said, there's some really good memories. I loved the one at Fenway despite the outcome. I really think that they just did such a good job there, and it was still kinda shiny new, when that one happened, so for the Winter Classic
Yeah, and you
and
had a fight, that was the
yeah.
first outdoor game fight, so that was interesting. I was walking around for that because the media didn't have good seats there. So we were just like, "You know what? We're just gonna walk around the whole game," and we did. So we were in a lot of different areas. We were outside the Flyers suite at one point where they gave us some water. That was nice of them. But yeah, it was Fenway was cool. We were on top of the Green Monster one at one point, which was awesome. It's an awesome view. So yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed Fenway.
Yeah, and for me, that was my first time going to anything at Fenway, so I saw hockey at Fenway before I later went and saw a Red Sox game, but,
Oh, that's cool.
but I had not seen baseball there before,
Okay.
so that was interesting. And then I think obviously, like, you can't beat the memory of the one at the Link with it being Wayne Simmons' last game
Yeah,
and the way the Flyers comeback and
the
Jake
comeback was
Voracek
big.
and Claude Giroux's overtime goal and that celebration, like, I just don't think anything will ever surpass that memory for
True.
me.
I have to tell you though, the one at Citizens Bank, which is really detailed a lot in my book, The Winter Classic, which you can get on Amazon if you want. We actually have a picture of Jaromir Jagr in that game for that book, and he only took one shift. He literally took a shift. He got hit against the sideboards, and he never came back out. And when we asked about it after the game, he's like, "It was too cold. I wasn't playing." He just didn't go back in. Like he didn't want to go back in. It was unbelievable. And it was just
Yeah.
memorable because it was like, "Where's Yager?" And just he was gone. So, but that was a good game, although, it was one where a future GM got stoned on a, penalty shot by a future broadcaster and Henrik Lundqvist. So Briere against Lundqvist. It was memorable because
It was.
I think it's the only penalty shot in outdoor game history that I remember anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, they all have their own
They
moments
do.
in them like
Yes.
that. And I think, even though it feels like it's overdone now, I'm still glad they do them because I think
They're
it
really
adds a little extra milestone in the
Yes.
season to
And
look
you have to
forward
remember the
to.
players love them because like the players after practice, they're gonna have a family skate. Now, sometimes we get a media skate and we get to skate at these places and it's great, but they get a family skate for like a couple hours, and that's a big deal for the families. Like I could tell you one time, Martin Baron, his son Jacob, interviewed Henrik Lundqvist. So the other day on social media, a writer that I know, Jim Cerny, was talking about this, and he goes, "Oh, Marty, you remember when your kid interviewed him?" And I'm like, "Hey, I got a picture of that." And he's like, "Show me." And I'm like, "I was in Michigan at that tournament, and but I still had it somewhere online, and I showed him." And those are things that imagine his kid now is probably 6 foot tall. He was a little kid then. So those kinds of things, the families remember those things, and it's fun for them.
Yeah. And speaking of all that, any thoughts or predictions for the Isles Rangers game?
You know, they're going to play a physical game for sure. Uh, I'm sure they're going to play Shesterkin, although I'm sure Quick would love to play in it. But Quick probably played in that one out in L.A. I'm going to say 4-3 Rangers, but the Islanders need it more. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure those teams, it won't be like a grudge match at all out
No.
there.
And listen, it's not going to be a cakewalk for the Flyers Devils either, because
No.
I think the Devils are really going to lay the lumber too, because I think, like you said, they're clawing and trying to stay in this race. So, and it's a
Yep.
home game for them. So now, will there be more Flyers fans? I don't know. I'm going to guess 48%, because somehow I think that the home teams get a little extra edge and can push their tickets a little easier. But I think a lot of Flyers fans are going to travel. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I think it should be a fun crowd, regardless. But we'll see how it all turns out. And looking forward to talking about it on Monday's show. In the meantime, if you've got any mailbag questions for us, of course, we'll have another one next week. You can send us questions via Twitter at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail, or comment on our YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ. I'm at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great weekend, everyone.